Case numbers surge in several states as Americans try to make the most of Halloween during a pandemic. In New York, I'm Alex Hogan, and I'll have that story coming up.
The James River Church in Joplin holds a Halloween spectacular drive-through event to have a safe Halloween experience during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Caitlin Shive. That's coming up.
Plus, who says you have to visit the pumpkin patch before Halloween gets here? We're checking out all of today's Halloween fun and games at Pittsburgh's Wood Farms Pumpkin Patch. Meteorologist Nick Kelly has your weather. Andy Ciateco is on sports. I'm Mike Mahoney, and this is your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Well, thanks so much for joining us, and happy Halloween, of course. As states across the country see surges in new COVID-19 cases, health experts are pushing trick-or-treaters to try to have a socially distant Halloween to limit the spread of the virus and prevent a new wave of infections. Fox News' Alex Hogan has the story.
The U.S. documenting its 9 millionth COVID case this week. Nearly 3% of the population has been infected since the start of the pandemic. Friday's announcement of more than 100,000 new cases marked the 5th time in the last 10 days the U.S. set a record in that category. Among the states hardest hit are several expected to be battlegrounds in Tuesday's election, including Michigan, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Health experts fear that the current pace, hospitals will become overwhelmed.
I think we'd all be in some form of denial if we didn't say that these high case numbers that we're seeing right now in Minnesota and Wisconsin will convert to hospitalizations in 2 weeks to a month.
The surge comes as Americans try to get back to some sense of normalcy during Halloween weekend.
Kids still need to be kids. You know, they're going crazy just as we are. And, you know, what else can we do? Just, you know, try playing by the rules.
More kids in costumes will wear masks, and some families will be keeping their distance while handing out candy.
My plan is to use this to not only deliver candy to the kids, but syringes filled with Jell-O shots for the adults.
The CDC has not endorsed trick-or-treating, calling it a high-risk activity. But if you do go, take some precautions like wearing a mask, washing your hands, and limiting your group just to your immediate family to limit exposure. In New York, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
Today, the Economic Security Corporation of Southwest Missouri announced it would be closing off public access to its central office in Joplin in response to the COVID-19 concerns as cases continue to spread throughout Jasper County. That also applies to weatherization, home repair, and outreach offices. The lobby will remain open, but only for picking up documents. Locked drop boxes are available at all locations. Appointments must be scheduled, and face masks and social distancing will be required. Those changes go into effect on Monday, November 2nd. All right, let's talk weather. Let's talk Halloween weather. Nick, did all that rain earlier in the week mean a nice Halloween today for most people?
Yeah, usually for Halloween around here, Mike, it's usually the other way around, where we usually get some crummy weather for Halloween, but not this year. After the rain and winter weather this week, we had a mostly sunny Halloween with highs near 67 after we started in the mid-40s this morning. We did actually have, believe it or not, another storm system working on through as the evening got started not too long ago. Some cloud cover this afternoon, sure, but this is mainly a dry front. It's not going to do anything for us except turn us toward the chillier side of things as we head towards Sunday to wrap up this weekend. We'll have overnight lows dropping out to 40, kind of a cool, kind of cold start for the outlying areas, but we'll be back in the 50s for tomorrow. I think most spots around 53. Thankfully, we turn mild for the week ahead, Mike. We'll break down that for you here in just a bit.
Sounds good, Nick Kelly. While the COVID-19 pandemic isn't stopping the festivities surrounding Halloween this year, it is forcing people to come up with different and safer ways to celebrate. KOAM's Caitlin Shive gives us a look at the James River Church in Joplin's Halloween spectacular event.
Characters from Star Wars, Frozen, Toy Story, Disney princesses, and more lined the sidewalks of the James River Church, greeting families during a Halloween spectacular drive-through event.
Even with everything going on this time of, that's happening, that our community could still come together and pull something like this off for our kids, I think it's great.
The church holds a Halloween event every year, but officials knew they needed to come up with a safer method for fun due to the COVID-19 pandemic.
We usually have bounce houses and inflatables and a show, but again, with all that's happening this year, we wanted to do something to provide families a safe alternative, and so that's why we're doing a drive-through event.
Families received sanitized and sealed bags of Halloween candy and gifts as they made their way through the event. Kids waved at their favorite characters and got a glimpse of some live animals.
The team came up with this idea and we thought what a great opportunity to still welcome the community to James River Church and really have a great time with kids and families that are going to make memories even in the midst of a crazy season like this.
More than 100 volunteers came out to help make the day possible for the kids.
To see it all come together and to watch our volunteers serve the way that they do is really just awesome to see it happen.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
Plenty of four-state families came out to the Wood Farms Pumpkin Patch for some Halloween fun in Pittsburgh today. There were plenty of cool activities and plenty of pumpkins for people to check out. Folks could participate in a scavenger hunt, get their faces painted, and there was no shortage of things the kids could climb and play on. A mom from Frontenac tells us coming to the Pumpkin Patch has become a special tradition for her little boy.
This is our 7th year here. We've come every year since he was born.
Wow, well obviously that tells me this must be a pretty special place. What keeps you coming back?
The staff's really friendly, really kind. It's very family oriented. They always have fun little activities for the kids, great opportunities for photos.
And the visiting kiddos even got a free pumpkin from the Pumpkin Patch, although they had to take a wagon ride to get there. It is now time for us to honor one of our many four-state heroes. And tonight we recognize Marvin Sherwood of Goodman, Missouri. Sherwood served as a sergeant in the U.S. Army and he fought in World War II. Thank you, sir, for your service, your courage, and for fighting for freedom. For more information on all our four-state heroes or to nominate your own, just log on to KOAMNewsNow.com. We'll be right back with meteorologist Nick Kelly, who has got another look at your weather. Plus, if you were too busy handing out candy tonight, you may not have seen this one Joplin house that put on a truly spectacular display for Halloween. But don't worry, we've got you covered when we return.
We hope everybody had a good Halloween night because usually around this time of the year, we usually see the weather take a turn for the worse as we head toward Halloween, but not today. We started out mostly sunny this morning from indigo sky just outside of Seneca, Missouri. And a little afternoon cloud cover, sure, but we just kept things nice and quiet. And that little bit of cloud cover we had did not stop temperatures from warming up. In fact, we'll show you what temperatures did today in just a bit, but a sneak peek of what lies ahead of us, though. A quick cold front rather, on the way for tomorrow means a chilly end to the weekend, but looking mild for the rest of the week with 60s and 70s looking to line up for a good portion of the week, and skies staying mainly quiet. And we'll see if we can get at least a glimpse of any potential storm systems by late next week, and when we show you the long range in a bit. Here's what temperatures did today. Near 40 along the south of I-44 and everywhere else. We had lower to middle 40s to start things out. Already in the lower 60s by lunchtime. Then we saw temperatures easily push into the mid 60s. So a nice mild Halloween is what we experienced today. Chilly this evening, sure, but a quick cold front on the way means we dropped to 40 around Joplin, some upper 30s for some of you. And yeah, a little chillier tomorrow, but we keep things dry with temperatures going back in the lower to middle 50s. So about 10 degrees cooler than where we fared today. The Skywatch Storm Tracker kept us dry even with that little bit of cloud cover passing through during the day, and pretty much quiet across much of the Central Plains, even though there is a cold front working through. It's a dry front. We were not worried about this mucking up any plans today or this evening. Again, all this is going to do is slide on through, and with high pressure behind it, keeping a northwest wind in place for tomorrow and eventually turning north, means a chilly end of the weekend. Then the jet stream level shows an upper ridge wanting to slide our way from the western U.S. That is what's going to send us back into the 60s and 70s for mainly a mild week ahead of us, and a quiet one too. And that quiet spell keeps on going for tonight into Sunday morning. And again, don't forget to roll the clocks back an hour before you head to bed. But by sunrise, which should be around 6:40 or so, we are going to see temperatures turn a little chilly. 40 around Joplin, upper 30s for outlying areas outside of Joplin. Then we only go to about 49 by lunchtime and push afternoon highs to about 53. Again, we could think of north breeze of 5 to 15 for the chillier end of the weekend, but you can see we're all dry for tomorrow, and everybody at least faring in the lower to middle 50s. Here's how long range is looking from the jet stream level. This upper low, which brought the cold front through, well, it's bringing it through as a matter of fact, continues its push toward the east. And we just look quiet for the rest of the week. Monday we're dry, Tuesday we're dry with the ridge on top of us, but as a quick wave tries to pass on by Wednesday and Thursday, maybe a little cloud cover, but we're just going to stay dry throughout the entire week. But we'll watch late next weekend into that following week for this next storm system to come on out, and sticking with Doug's pattern, that could bring in some rain by that following Monday or Tuesday. In the meantime, though, 53 for a chilly Sunday, but back in the lower 60s on Monday, 70 and dry for Election Day, and we'll just stay mild and partly sunny for the rest of the week, Mike.
Well, thanks as always, Nick. And hey, Nick, check out this ghoulish house in Joplin on 21st and Annie Baxter Avenue. This family went all out with dozens of spooky inflatables this year, transforming their yard into a Halloween hub. I'm sure plenty of kids and adults alike enjoyed driving by this spooky display that really took the Halloween fun to the next level. Hopefully their candy is as good as their decorations. I bet it is. All right, when we return, you'll learn how the U.S. forces rescued an American citizen that was captured by armed men in Niger. The rescue operation involved the Navy's elite SEAL Team 6. That story and more are coming up in just 2 quick minutes. U.S. military forces have rescued a U.S. citizen that was kidnapped by armed men in Niger. Fox News' Lucas Tomlinson has that story.
I'm told members of the Navy's elite SEAL Team 6 parachuted quietly onto the target in West Africa. The president spoke about the urgency of the operation.
The kidnappers wished they had never done it. And they went in with a large group, 0 casualties. We got our American citizen young man, we got our young man back. But the other side suffered gravely, I can tell you that.
In a statement, the Pentagon said U.S. forces conducted a hostage rescue operation during the early hours of 31 October in northern Nigeria to recover an American citizen held hostage by a group of armed men. This American citizen is safe and is now in the care of the U.S. Department of State. No U.S. military personnel were injured during the operation. We appreciate the support of our international partners in conducting this operation. The United States will continue to protect our people and our interests anywhere in the world. 27-year-old Philip Walton had been taken hostage from his farm by armed gunmen in southern Niger earlier this week. I'm told the rescue mission took on extra urgency after concerns Walton would be traded or sold to terrorists in neighboring Nigeria. White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany spoke about the decision to pull the trigger.
They're very tough ones to make because you're right, it has to be conducted just perfectly. But the president always puts the American interest first. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of keeping things quiet until that moment when you get the go-ahead. And I was talking to some of our soldiers and they said to me, we pray to get the green light.
Once again, no Americans were hurt during the operation. A number of the gunmen were killed. I'm told they were all taken by surprise. In Washington, Lucas Tomlinson, Fox News.
2 police officers were shot during Halloween celebrations in New Orleans. It happened in the city's famed French Quarter on Friday. Both officers were fired at by a passenger riding in a pedal-style vehicle, which takes visitors through the city. One of the officers got hit in the face while the other received minor injuries. The officer shot in the face is in serious but stable condition. New Orleans police say they have the suspected shooter in custody, who is believed to have been under some kind of medical issue at the time. When we return, we are updating you on the race for the White House, which will be wrapping up soon.
The candidates are battling for the Midwest. I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington. More on that, plus a look ahead at all of the weekend campaign events. That's coming up.
Welcome back to your News at 9. In the final days before the presidential election, both campaigns are working hard to find voters and convince them to get on board. Fox News' Lauren Blanchard has the latest on the 2020 race for the White House.
It was a chilly Friday on the campaign trail as the candidates crisscrossed the Midwest, but the candidates were heated as they tried to rally their supporters.
It's time to stand up, take back our democracy. We can do this. We're so much better than this.
But on November 3rd, I hope you're listening, Minnesota.
President Trump has been trying to hold on to states he flipped red back in 2016 while setting his sights on Minnesota.
I guarantee you the president would not be wasting any time this close to Election Day if we didn't think Minnesota was winnable.
Why Minnesota? Democrats won Minnesota in 2016. Are you concerned?
I'm not concerned. We're going to be in Iowa. We're going to be in Wisconsin, so I thought I'd stop in Minnesota.
A new Fox News poll shows former Vice President Joe Biden's lead nationally narrowing slightly from a 10-point advantage to now 8 points. And heading into the final weekend of the election, both campaigns have packed schedules. On Saturday, Biden and former President Obama will campaign together in Michigan at drive-in events.
Honk if you want America to be united again.
On the Republican ticket, President Trump will barnstorm Pennsylvania on Saturday, then zigzag across the country on Sunday from morning to almost midnight.
We're not just running against sleepy Joe Biden. We're running against the arrogant far left.
As of Friday night, the data shows that nearly 90 million Americans have already voted, while Fox News polling shows that a majority of mail-in voters prefer Biden, while in-person voters prefer Trump. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
As Election Day approaches and the country prepares for possible unrest, faith leaders are calling on the American people to show their faith by keeping the peace. Fox News' Lauren Green takes a look.
The divisiveness of this election has heightened fears of continued unrest and escalating violence, while it has motivated hundreds of faith leaders to plead for peace and reconciliation. Today, the National Guard rolled into Philadelphia to help quell the unrest there following the police shooting death of a black man, the latest of several over the last few months that have ignited protests. Tensions are high in major cities across the country, just a few days before the presidential election. Many urban areas have seen toxic levels of racial discord and hate-filled vengeance.
People in general have very high anxiety as it relates to the upcoming election, and we understand that. And we are focused on ensuring our officers will work to de-escalate, to calm tensions.
Vandalism and looting prompted retail giant Walmart to remove firearms and ammunition from half its nearly 5,000 stores as a precaution, but a day later reversed its decision, saying, as the current incidents have remained geographically isolated, we have made the decision to begin returning these products to the sales floor today.
It was a leadership move on Walmart's part, but then to do a 180, that's not good.
Dr. David Ireland is one of 500 faith leaders who are trying to diffuse the national discord by calling for not just the absence of violence, but for the presence of peace. They formed a coalition based on the words of Jesus when he said, "Blessed are the peacemakers." He also points out that both President Trump and Joe Biden are professing Christians and is appealing to them to lead the way.
Let Christians live by the value system of what in fact it means to be a Christian and not by political position. Let that drive you. Let your faith and the values of your Christian faith be the ethos in which you live and not based on partisan positions.
Faith leaders hope that people not look for short-term victories and instead focus on long-term relationships. In New York, Lauren Green, Fox News.
Some businesses in the Los Angeles area are boarding up in case things get out of control following the election. Storefronts in the downtown area saw owners and employees with sheets of plywood, drills, and nails putting up protective barriers. The LAPD and the LA County Sheriff's Department are also planning extra patrols for next week. In a statement, the LAPD said they are making sure their officers will be ready to go, but they're also anticipating a peaceful Election Day process. Right after this short break, you'll learn about a big change coming to Dunkin' Donuts. The entire Dunkin' brand has been purchased for about $11.3 billion. And you'll learn who's getting into the coffee and donuts business when we return. Welcome back. One of America's favorite places to get coffee and donuts is set to join up with a company which operates several brands of restaurants. The Dunkin' brands, mostly known as Dunkin' or Dunkin' Donuts, and including Baskin-Robbins ice cream, is about to be acquired by Inspire Brands at a price of about $11.3 billion. The umbrella company operates several different food franchise restaurants, including Buffalo Wild Wings, Arby's, Jimmy John's, Sonic Drive-Ins, and more. The coronavirus pandemic dropped Dunkin's in-store sales by 18% during its second quarter, but drive-through lanes aided its recovery. Dunkin will add about 15 million loyalty members to the Inspire brands. All right, don't go anywhere. We have got a lot more news headed your way, as well as another weather update with meteorologist Nick Kelly and your KOAM Sports Report with Andy Ciateco. That's all coming up right here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.
We hope everybody had a good Halloween night, because usually around this time of the year, we usually see the weather take a turn for the worse as we head toward Halloween, but not today. We started out mostly sunny this morning from indigo sky just outside of Seneca, Missouri. And a little afternoon cloud cover, sure, but we just kept things nice and quiet. And that little bit of cloud cover we had did not stop temperatures from warming up. In fact, we'll show you what temperatures did today in just a bit, but a sneak peek of what lies ahead of us, though. A quick cold front rather, on the way for tomorrow means a chilly end to the weekend, but looking mild for the rest of the week, with 60s and 70s looking to line up for a good portion of the week, and skies staying mainly quiet. And we'll see if we can get at least a glimpse of any potential storm systems by late next week, and we'll show you the long range in a bit. Here's what temperatures did today. Near 40 along and south of I-44, and everywhere else we had lower to middle 40s to start things out. Already in the lower 60s by lunchtime. Then we saw temperatures easily push into the mid 60s. So a nice mild Halloween is what we experienced today. Chilly this evening, sure, but a quick cold front on the way means we dropped to 40 around Joplin, some upper 30s for some of you. And yeah, a little chillier tomorrow, but we keep things dry with temperatures going back in the lower to middle 50s. So about 10 degrees cooler than where we fared today. The Skywatch Storm Tracker kept us dry, even with that little bit of cloud cover passing through during the day, and pretty much quiet across much of the Central Plains, even though there is a cold front working through. It's a dry front. We were not worried about this mucking up any plans today or this evening. Again, all this is going to do is slide on through, and with high pressure behind it, keeping a northwest wind in place for tomorrow and eventually turning north, means a chilly end of the weekend. Then the jet stream level shows an upper ridge wanting to slide our way from the western U.S. That is what's going to send us back into the 60s and 70s for mainly a mild week ahead of us, and a quiet one too. And that quiet spell keeps on going for tonight into Sunday morning. And again, don't forget to roll the clocks back an hour before you head to bed. But by sunrise, which should be around 6:40 or so, we are going to see temperatures turn a little chilly. 40 around Joplin, upper 30s for outlying areas outside of Joplin. Then we only go to about 49 by lunchtime and push afternoon highs to about 53. Again, we could think of north breeze of 5 to 15 for the chillier end of the weekend, but you can see we're all dry for tomorrow, and everybody at least faring in the lower to middle 50s. Here's how long range is looking from the jet stream level. This upper low, which brought the cold front through, well, it's bringing it through as a matter of fact, continues its push toward the east, and we just look quiet for the rest of the week. Monday we're dry, Tuesday we're dry with the ridge on top of us, but as a quick wave tries to pass on by Wednesday and Thursday, maybe a little cloud cover, but we're just going to stay dry throughout the entire week. But we'll watch late next weekend into that following week for this next storm system to come on out, and sticking with Doug's pattern, that could bring in some rain by that following Monday or Tuesday. In the meantime, though, 53 for a chilly Sunday, but back in the lower 60s on Monday, 70 and dry for Election Day, and we'll just stay mild and partly sunny for the rest of the week, Mike.
Thanks again, Nick. And hey, Nick, check this out. A now deceased famed Mexican artists museum has become a haven for remembering other artists who have also passed on during a cultural celebration in Mexico. The Frida Kahlo Museum in Mexico City opened its doors to art, skeletons, paintings, and patrons from lots of cultures. They all had a seat at the table to celebrate Mexico's Day of the Dead. The collection is called the Restored Table, Memory and Reunion. There are various representations and collections on display, and one is even of Frida herself as a skeleton with her notable braided hair. All right, stay tuned, sports fans. We'll be right back with Andy Ciateco and your KOAM News at 9 Sports Report.
Today is the day the Pittsburgh State Gorillas open up their fall schedule, hosting the Nebraska Kearney Lopers. It's the first game under head coach Brian Wright. Kearney Smith Stadium sold out at 25% capacity today. Gorillas' second drive of the day, Max Sexton dumps it off to Christian Carter, makes a guy miss and gets loose. Runs for a while before he's brought down at the 2-yard line. Tyler Atkins would punch it in on the next play. Pitt State strikes first 7-0. Right before the break, Pitt up 4. TJ Davis keeps it, cuts to the outside and scores from 4 yards out. Gorillas down 10-7 at the half. In the third quarter, Pitt down 10 now. Sexton tosses it over the middle to Dylan White, the former Pittsburgh Purple Dragon, with his first career touchdown for the Gorillas. 72 yards, gets Pitt within 3. Jumping to the fourth quarter now, less than 2 minutes to play. Gorillas down 11. Sexton rolls out. He's going to throw it deep. Hits Carter for the 31-yard score. Gorillas, though, unable to complete the comeback. Pitt State falls 31-26.
Certainly fortunate to be, one of 4 games at this level being played today. Great opportunity for our program, for our guys. But our guys wanted to come out and win, and we didn't get that done.
Being able to go up against somebody else and finally get out here with the fans around and kind of get that college game day atmosphere back that we've been missing for a long time.
The Kansas State Wildcats are on a roll. The Wildcats are 4-1, winning their last 4 straight and ranked number 16 in the nation. K-State is on the road facing West Virginia. Second quarter, West Virginia up 10-3. Letty Brown takes the handoff, goes to the outside, dives in for the 9-yard touchdown. Mountaineers leading by 14 now. Later in the second, Jarrett Dagey dumps it off to Winston Wright Jr. Gets into the end zone, 15-yard score. Kansas State trailing by 21 now. Third quarter, K-State still down double digits. Will Howard's pass intercepted by Dylan Tonkery. Takes it back, 18-yard pick 6. West Virginia pulls off the upset. Wildcats suffer their first conference loss, falling 37-10. Kansas Jayhawks squaring off with 23rd-ranked Iowa State. Second quarter, Brock Purdy to Charlie Kolar for the 3-yard score. Cyclones up 13. Third quarter, Purdy throws it to Xavier Hutchinson. He's going to go 36 yards for the touchdown. Kansas in a 20-point hole now. Jayhawks respond, ensuing kickoff. Kenny Logan gets through some traffic, and he's going to take it 100 yards to the house, but KU still trailing by 13. Kansas drops to 0-6 on the year, losing 52-22. Carl Junction Volleyball is home, hosting Class 4 state sectionals. The Bulldogs are facing Willard this afternoon. Carl Junction lost to the Tigers 3-1 in the regular season. This one today went the distance. CJ falls, though, in 5 sets, 3-2 to Willard. Bulldogs finished the year 24-7. Neosho Boys Soccer is aiming for their 4th straight Class 3 District 12 title. Today, the Wildcats are hosting Carl Junction in the district semifinals. Neosho enters the day 15-1 on the year. No problem for the Wildcats, winning 8-0. Neosho will face Webb City in the district finals on Tuesday. That's a look at sports. Back with more news after this.
A true American hero who helped fight against the Nazis overseas and racial discrimination here at home has died. Sergeant Preston Jowers was part of the greatest generation and among the oldest of the Tuskegee Airmen. He lived to be 105 years old before passing away last week. Fox News' Randy Wembley has more with Sergeant Jowers' family as they reflect on their fallen hero.
Sergeant Preston Jowers, a father, widower, and Tuskegee Airman, is no more. He died last week at the ripe old age of 105. Fox 2's Rich Luderman had the privilege of interviewing Sergeant Jowers for our Tribute to the Troops special in 2018.
It means everything to me. It really does.
We spoke with Sergeant Jowers' son, Preston II, as he prepares to bury his father and closest friend.
Father, good husband, good role model, and the greatest of all time for me. He was my GOAT.
Sergeant Jowers served in the U.S. Army Air Force during World War II as an airplane mechanic, keeping the famed Tuskegee Airmen, the first black military pilots, in the sky as they helped defeat Nazi Germany.
He had to know his planes from stem to stern, from the tip to the tail. And doing that, he was rated superior twice.
Jauer says his father witnessed history, from the rise and fall of Hitler to the civil rights movement to the election of the first black president in Barack Obama.
He has witnessed a lot of things in his life.
But his journey started in Georgia, where as a young boy he lived under the brutal tyranny of Jim Crow, nearly lynched when he was 12 years old for not stepping off the sidewalk as a white family walked by.
The gentleman came back with some friends to the store with ropes, shotguns, and wanted to hang this 12-year-old black boy. If it wasn't for the white store owner taking his shotgun, hiding my father in the basement, and telling these guys to, hey, this is a good boy, leave him alone, get out of here, he actually saved my father's life.
Jowers came to Detroit during the Great Migration in 1946 and settled on the east side, raising his 5 children with his wife Mabel, who died in 1979. His family now anchored by the values he instilled in them.
God and family, in that order. We were not what you would call the richest family. We were not the poorest family. But what he instilled in us was love.
And Jowers says one of his dad's fondest memories was being honored at Ford Field on Veterans Day and receiving a standing ovation from the crowd. Sergeant Preston Jowers will be laid to rest Friday afternoon.
Sean Connery, known for his iconic role as the original James Bond, has died at the age of 90. Fox News' David Lee Miller gives us a look back at the actor's life and career.
Thomas Sean Connery was born on August 25, 1930, in Edinburgh, Scotland. The oldest of 2 sons, he lived in a tenement with his family. At age 13, Connery dropped out of school to work and help support his family. He had jobs as a milkman, laborer, steel bender, and cement mixer. Connery eventually joined the British Royal Navy, but he was medically discharged after 3 years because of stomach ulcers. He then went to work on himself. Connery began an intense weightlifting schedule, and in 1953, he finished 3rd in the Mr. Universe competition held in London. After his stint in bodybuilding, Connery decided to try acting. His first notable role came on British television, in Requiem for a Heavyweight. He won rave reviews. His performance got him a few film offers, and in 1962, Sean Connery got his big break.
Bond. James Bond.
From 1962 to 1967, Connery made 5 James Bond movies, making him a sex symbol. In 1971, Connery donated his $1.25 million salary for the film Diamonds Are Forever to the Scottish International Education Trust Fund. Eventually, Connery grew tired of playing the suave and sophisticated.
Weren't you a blonde when I came in?
Could be.
I tend to notice little things like that, whether a girl is a blonde or brunette.
In 1987, he won an Oscar for playing a veteran Chicago cop in The Untouchable.
Dad, you're gonna have to use the machine gun! Get it ready!
Connery stayed active throughout the 90s, starring in many films, including Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade and The Hunt for Red October.
Time to torpedo impact.
He was branded the sexiest man alive by People magazine and was knighted by Queen Elizabeth on July 5, 2000. Sean Connery will be forever known as the daring charmer that got the girl and defeated the bad guys. More than that, he captured audiences all over the globe. David Lee Miller, Fox News.
And we are not done yet here on your KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. And when we return, we are going to talk about a different kind of election. It's an election for mayor over in an Oakland neighborhood where all the candidates are pets. That story and more are next. Welcome back. You know, for this next story, I learned the correct saying is daylight saving time, not savings time. All right, daylight saving time ends tomorrow. That means you might want to set your clocks back 1 hour when you go to bed tonight. However, a few members of Congress would like to change that. Fox News' Chad Pergram tells us why from Capitol Hill.
Let's get one thing out of the way. You can blame Congress as to why we change the clocks twice a year.
Time policy is steeped in law.
Bipartisan senators recently pushed for the U.S. to remain on daylight saving time, meaning more sunshine, less moonshine during the pandemic, hoping it would decrease the winter doldrums.
With COVID, we want people to get outside. It's a positive from a health standpoint, a positive from a mental health standpoint.
But Congress ran out of time before leaving D.C. for the election. Time has been an issue for some time now. President Trump wants your days to be longer and nights shorter. He tweeted last year the U.S. should remain on daylight saving time year-round. Back in the day, it was Congress which mandated summertime during World War I. President Woodrow Wilson wanted to go back in time, losing an hour after the war. But Congress said it was the timekeeper and overrode his veto, one of only 112 veto overrides ever. The Uniform Time Act of 1966 established time zones which determine when we change the clocks. And Congress put the U.S. on daylight saving time for 2 years after the 1973 OPEC oil embargo, because more daylight meant less energy use. But not even Congress is the father of time.
The amount of daylight doesn't change. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way yet to move some daylight from the summer to the winter, which would be very nice.
That means 2020 isn't going to be any shorter.
No matter what the clock says or Congress says, everyone can agree this pandemic can't be over soon enough. On Capitol Hill, Chad Pergram, Fox News.
All right, and finally, the first flying in a political race in one California community. That's because the stakes are high for some cats and dogs running for mayor in an Oakland neighborhood. The 55th Street mayoral race started with one incumbent cat named Wally running unopposed. But a few canines and felines jumped at the chance to make this a four-legged election. Organizers say it's a way to put a spin on the contentious 2020 presidential race and a perfect way to teach kids about democracy.
Mostly we're teaching the kids about democracy and about fairness, equity, justice. And we're going to have all the kids make a choice, put it in the ballot box, have a little talk about democracy in our country, and just, and of course candy, because it's Halloween night.
Those candidates will continue to pound the pavement until Election Day with hopes of becoming the top dog or cat in the neighborhood. I think if my dog Peanut ran for mayor of our neighborhood, my housemate Mary wouldn't vote for him because he always wakes her up when he goes out for his nighttime bathroom breaks. All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for tuning in. Stay safe out there. Don't eat too much candy. And we'll see you tomorrow for more KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14.